Alrighty, welcome back to the final part of the 4-part series of making this. It's been a little while since I've been able to upload. I don't get a lot of time to sit down and commentate over these videos. I have a lot of time to work on it, but it's usually pretty loud and noisy, so and I don't want to bother other people, so I usually don't have a lot of time to do voiceovers for this stuff, so gonna try to do some non-voice content in the future, just trying to find more time, trying to work it better into my schedule. So but we're still working on this project, still chugging away at it. I've got a lot more done with the shader, and that's going to be coming out soon in a part 2 video, and you'll probably see a little bit of it at the end of this video as like a little sneak peek for part 2, but the real part 2 for Unreal will be coming out probably either by the end of this week or early next week, so it's my main goal. The main goal for part 2 is to kind of show off the shader a bit more and get it closer to what I'm finally looking for, and then shipping the shader. So I've decided I'm going to be selling just the shader with the couple models as demo models, and we'll be going from there. So but basically I'm kind of going through right now in the model and just kind of cleaning up a couple things. I had a couple errors when exporting it, as you can see here, and I've just been kind of going through trying to figure out exactly what's causing the issue and how I can go about fixing it. I end up finding out that it's a padding issue a little bit, as well as there's a couple of model issues as well that I end up going back and fixing. So, but I'm doing a little research to be like, how can I fix this? But I'm finding a couple of things that'll most likely help me through this. So I'm just kind of testing to figure out which part this is affecting. So is this the ambient occlusion? Is it the normal map? So I'm just trying to narrow it down to what part of the bake is causing this weird abnormality that doesn't exist on either model. So it's just a process of elimination, finding out which one's causing what. So and then I ended up crashing, so I had to I had to reload back into it. But at that same time I decided, you know what, let me get a different model from Max. Let me make sure everything's lined up on the XYZ coordinates. Let me make sure that X form is fully reset on the model. Let me just dot all my T's. Or dot all my I's and cross my T's, not dot my T's. I don't want to dot my T's. But also because the model is symmetried, you notice that the problem is a symmetry problem. So, but we go through, we do the bake, and I think we fixed it after this, and we did. We've got a little problem with the line in the middle, but we end up finding a solution to that pretty quickly as well. So I reactivate everything, checking everything, playing around with ambient occlusion to try to get a better look to the overall mesh. I ended up going back and changing this again later because of reasons to do with the shader. So I've been playing around with the shader a lot more, and some of my changes were like, is this going to work or is this going to work? And in part 2 of my UE video, I'll be kind of going through on how I created the final model to do all this, and I'll kind of go through and step-by-step process it, kind of using the part 1 through 4, which you can go back and rewatch all of them for, to kind of give a full synopsis on it, to make it more digestible. And then you can go back and view all of the big 4 parts for greater detail. So here I'm creating basically the RGB shader, and I'm also showing off my dog real quick. Love my dog. With all my heart, love her. She's the sweetest ever. But I'm basically adding the RGB, finally cleaning it up, any of the edge problems that exist. But as you can see, I also added a black mask because the mask does do RGB and black, so nothing. As the mask in Unreal that I created. Towards the end of the video, I'll also include some more stuff about where my current progress with this model is and some of the small changes I've made, and just kind of go through an overall summary of this model as a whole and kind of my my things I learned and things I want to do going forward with the project. So, hoping in a month's time I will have the shader completed and uploaded to the Unreal Marketplace, available for purchase. I don't know what I'm going to call it yet. Maybe the RGB Edgeware mask? Something like that. But right now I'm just plugging everything in. This is just kind of how the shader works. So this is just kind of a quick demo of a little bit of how it works. So you have a few different tabs that you can plug materials into to get different varying effects. For RGB, for the different colors that I masked out, and those allow me to quickly and additively change what's going on with the model and how it looks and how it functions. So, and my dog is being a funny girl, so I'm shaking her ass up. Sure, she wants to get down, I think, but I didn't realize it at this point because I was locked in focusing. But I had to sign in. I ended up taking her off my lap because she was getting antsy. She needed to eat some food and drink some water, stuff like that, so. But now I'm just kind of playing around with the material. Finally putting it back on. Re-imported it. Boom. Looking pretty damn good. Pretty happy with it. That's the RGB and AO put together into one. And then I'm just looking for one more material for the edgeware. So I'm just going through and looking for something simple that I can just slap on there real quick. Looking for like a dust or like a grayish kind of material or like a concrete. Just something to make it look like it's got shit on it. And it's not quite perfect. It's already got some scuffs and scratches because of the materials that I put on it. And because of the macro and micro noise map that's on it. But doing that allows me to get a bit more detail going in, which is nice. And then yeah, I put a nice gray plastic on it instead. So I get some fairly decent edge detail. But not quite what I wanted. So you'll see pretty soon that I will be talking about my current progress in Unreal with it. So, but I'm going to show off a little bit of the stuff that I do with the shaders here, just to kind of demonstrate my thought process with it. So my goal is to have procedural edgeware detection. When I go through in the next part of the video at the end, I'll talk about exactly what that's going to look like. Yeah, and this is the end goal. This is the shader I want to end up kind of creating. I want to create a CPD with like a very dynamic use shader that allows me to procedurally control edgeware, a thin film variant, and quite a few other things to really control and manipulate and configure how I want the model to end up looking. I want a very specific look that I'm going for, and I'm going for that kind of sci-fi, you know, Cyberpunk, Star Citizen, and in this case Concord as well, because Concord does very much fit a similar sci-fi, cyber LED, you know, illuminated aesthetic. So, and this person's material work on the game was phenomenal, and I'm really sad that we didn't get to see it come to light, because this is really cool stuff. They really made their process really dynamic, really artist-friendly, really artist-driven. And that's the kind of stuff I want to make. I want to make really artist-driven products because I am an artist and I want to make products that I would use, products that I want to see on the market that aren't in the marketplace for Unreal. So now basically what I'm trying to do is I'm going to take a dot product of 2 normal maps, so one that has a higher bitmap level than the other, and kind of use them to do edge detection. I'm just kind of testing some things out. I just kind of wanted to show off my thought process and how I go about doing stuff like this. And, the fact that I allow myself here to try something and have it not work, and basically I fail. And then I try something else again, and then that also doesn't work. So then I do some more research, and then pretty soon we'll be able to show off what I end up coming up with. So, and I'm pretty happy with the solution, and I'm pretty happy with my ability to problem solve things like this pretty quickly. But I'm testing different dot products to try to get the right effect. I'm not really quite getting the right effect that I'm looking for. So I'm trying to plug different normal maps in, and I'm very much a touch and feel person right now for things like this. It's kind of like playing music by ear kind of a thing. It's like I don't know I don't know what any of the notes are. I don't know where C major is, I don't know where any of these are, but goddamn, can I play Lean on Me, So, but I also end up going through and consolidating a lot of my bigger functions into smaller material functions, just to make the whole shader a lot more uniform and cleaner. So you can see here I'm getting something to work, but it doesn't look right. It looks really weird. I'm getting this weird noise pattern. I don't really quite know what's happening. Somebody might be able to explain exactly what I was doing wrong. Somebody may be able to figure it out. Maybe there is a better way to do this. I was following a tutorial on the other screen. So I was doing a little bit of research. Like, how can I do it without a texture map? With just, information I already have in the engine. And there were a few ways you could go about it, but nothing to me that worked in a way where I was satisfied with it and I was happy with it. That's why I end up using the curvature map, because the curvature map is just a lot better, in all honesty. You get this weird issue. Like, I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, the tutorial isn't doing this at this point. So I'm like, I need to do something different. I'm like cranking the numbers up. I'm like, this doesn't do anything. I'm like, I am at this point very befuddled. I tried a different edge detection method that worked and didn't work, and I've had varying success with other versions of it, and I'm like, well, and then masking it after the fact, it just doesn't, it wasn't working the way I wanted it to. I was not happy with it. I may try it again with more knowledge that I know now, but at the time I wasn't happy with the output. It wasn't quality enough for me, for what I was trying to get. I think you could probably do some other stuff, but I don't think I would have had as much range with it as I do right now with what I have. I think what I have now is just way better. Right now I'm trying a different edge detection method that I found online. I ended up simplifying the material function because they made it a little too overcomplicated in my opinion. So I just slimmed it down for my use, my personal use. I was just like, let me change this real quick so I can do this. So I can just plug that into there and plug that into there and then have control. So that's what I did there, deleted those, and then tested it, and that's what happened. I was like, oh. So I was like, okay, maybe it's the fact that I decimated the mesh already. So I was like, let me try re-uploading the mesh at some point. I tried a couple other things before that, but I was like, at some point I think I'm going to try re-uploading the mesh as a non-decimated version. So I also tried it on the hot dog machine to test it, and it wasn't too bad. I was getting some reasonable effects on the edges, but it just wasn't perfect. It was close, but it wasn't exactly what I wanted. It had some small irregularities, and at the distance that you would be viewing it, it looked ugly. And I was also having some texture loading issues, partially because I had so much shit loaded in the background and I was being an idiot. But I'm testing it here, and I'm getting an effect, but not the effect that I'm looking for. It's growing, but it reaches a point, and then it just tips over and just covers the whole damn thing. So like, I'm getting some reasonable effects here. I didn't mind it. I actually enjoyed some of it. But overall, it just wasn't doing it for me. So I went back, fixed the model, didn't subdivide it as much, cleaned up some of the topology just to make it a little bit better. I was like, alright, let's go. Just import this thing in. Let's see where we go from there. I just checked the UVs, double checked them to make sure they were all good, make sure they weren't the thing causing an issue. They were looking great, couldn't have been happier. And I decided, you know what, let's just focus on the high poly for right now. Let's get the high poly figured out. Once we get the high poly figured out, and we get that going well, we can go back and we can get the low poly and the parallax occlusion mapped version going. And that will be easier, hopefully. Especially with the way we're doing it now. So I'm just going through, cleaning up a couple things, rotating a couple things, just kind of moving a couple things around just because I'm like, well, this could be just a little bit better. And then I end up re-importing it into Marmoset and ended up realizing, holy shit, my screws are already subdivided. And then I subdivided them again. What the hell happened? It was at some point when they were instanced, they became uninstanced, and I'm not quite sure exactly when that was. A small error on my part, ended up paying for it later on, but I fixed it pretty quickly, so I'm not too upset about it. But I was like, what the hell is that? And I was like, okay, those ones are pre-subdivided. So I just decided, you know what, I'm just gonna delete them and replace them with other ones, and then just re-rotate them, because that's easier. Because then the instances are fixed. So now if I ever need to go back and change it, it'll be a lot easier to change. But I just re-import it, re-export, re-bake, re-datasmith it back into Unreal. I get Unreal open, and then from there I get it re-imported, and I kind of show off the what it currently looks like. So, and I'm pretty happy with it at this point, but even more so how it's currently looking. So we'll go through and show that off next pretty soon. So stay tuned to the end of the video for that. It's coming up very soon. So at this point, I've pretty much re-imported everything, all the textures, and now I'm going through and re-importing the Datasmith model into a new folder called Final, because I've been testing it a lot for a few different things now. So, but it was a very successful test. I'm really damn happy with it. The model ended up shrinking, I think, by 0.1 in scale. In the final amount. Not a very big change, but I did end up going through with that because it just ended up fitting a little bit better next to the hot dog machine. So, but yeah, I really liked it. We put that on, and it looks pretty damn good. I went through and I tested the edge detection. It didn't really improve it too much, but it did improve it. It was considerably better than the decimated version, but it was still not something I was happy with. I didn't feel like I had the level of control that I wanted, and that I want to give an artist. I felt like I was too limited. So here now, I'm gonna switch over to me talking in nowadays present about the current progress of the project. Alrighty. And now we're here live. I'm doing it live.
We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live.
This is the current state of the model. So, as you've seen, we went through. If we check out the lit wireframe, I actually went and did the normal mesh. No longer using the decimated version. Still need to go through and change it for this one. I'm going to maybe change it for this one. Still haven't decided yet. But for this one, I didn't care for it. I think this looks a lot better. I think this works a lot better. Especially for this current style of mesh. So you'll notice we got some nice grunge detail, and we'll go over kind of how that works. So some new additions have been added to this. We have a new Edgeware tab, which still is in development, so I'm still working on it. Names still need to be fully figured out and need to make sure which variables you need actual control of. So, but we can change the overall mask strength for this one. So we can add more of a mask or take away the mask. That's what we want for the Edgeware. So that's a pretty damn happy with that development. We can also control the curve contrast. So we can make the, we can make it not usable. So this one still needs some playing around with, but curve strength is really nice because we can turn curve all the way off. So you can see this extra detail in here. If I go to curve strength, you'll see it come in and slowly go away. So we have individual control over this option and the AO contrast, or the AO contrast, which is going to be this here, which is going to add more detail outside of the AO. And we have AO strength, which is going to strengthen the AO or remove it entirely. So, and you'll have precision over that completely, which is nice. Base contrast you'll be able to control as well, which will allow you to control how contrasted the mask is. But using it at a default of 3 is usually pretty standard for it. Put the mask strength back, and you can see it just slightly affects it. And it's using a tileable texture so that there is no detail loss from up close or from far away. So you can also change the scale of the noise. So if I want to change the noise's scale, I can change where it is. I can also use the seed to change the randomness of it. So I can use a specific seed to get the look that I'm looking for. So that way you can always keep it the same whenever you bring in a similar model. What else? We have edge softness, which Kind of just helps soften this edge a bit. Some things like levels control, which adds even more variation. So we have lows, we have your overall gamma, and then we have your highs as well, which allows you to control the whole thing. So yeah, lots of controls, lots of ability to change, mismatch, rearrange. That's the big point. Same thing goes for this one. So if I click on this one, for some reason this is being winky. It's being wonky. Oh yeah, it's because that's not the right model. It's supposed to be there. But as you can see, if I go to edge wear and edge control, I can also increase the mask strength on here and decrease it as I want. So same thing, same functions, same applies, same rule set. How am I doing all of this? Well, the majority of it is going to come through a couple of different nodes, but the main node is going to be this edge wear node and a curvature map. So your curvature map is a standard map that you generate whenever you bake a map, and usually you don't end up exporting this map and using this map. However, but if you bring this map into an engine like this, you can use it just like Marmoset or Substance does for its procedural edge generation for your own procedural edge generation. So that's exactly what I did here. So this combos edge wear using curvature and world position. So I'm not going to show off all of this, and I may even blacken some of it out, but it's still a work in progress and I'm not fully done with it yet. But basically I'm taking world position to also get a Z mask. So this is another function that I'm working on, that will allow me to do, I don't remember if I don't believe I got it fully working. We can test it. Let's find out. Did I get it fully working? I don't believe I did. It's going to be height wear. So where end, where start. So functionally, that's what it's kind of supposed to do. Let's see, mask height. Oh, yep, there we go. So you can have the mask start on the bottom. So it would start near the bottom, and then it would slowly work its way up the model. And then noise strength for height, you can change the noise strength, decrease the noise strength, increase it so there's more noise. It's taking over more of the model. So you have control with that as well, which will be nice for a lot of different models where you need dirt creeping up of it or whatever. So things like these two, you're not really gonna see it, but maybe on like this one you might see dust creeping up the leg, or you might see dirt or piss or shit because it's in a gas station, and gas stations are kind of gross. So having that granular control is what I really want. So I'm kind of doing research on what else I can add. Thin film is another thing I'm trying to work on adding. So I kind of have it working on this one, I believe. I have this one selected. Yeah, I do. Oh, no, I don't. Let me put that right there. Let's see, where did I? Yeah, right here. So thin film strength. So I can increase the strength of the thin film. So this is kind of what the thin film looks like. And the idea is that it would be a very thin film on top of the mesh. So that's what it looked like at 0. So I kind of put like a slight film on top of the model. And it allows you to change just slightly the coloration of it based on a refraction index. So you can change the color of it based on what refraction index you're using. So it's going to use like, rather than it using a texture, it's using a Fresnel node to create RGB and like rainbow colors basically. So like I can create like a bunch of different colors with it. So I can, yeah, you can see it happening here. And you can even have like really interesting effects because of it. So get orange here. A few other colors. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Allows me to just kind of very have a lot more control over my scenes and stuff. And because it's Fresnel based, it's based on where you're looking at. So you can change the strength of it so that it's not as strong. And it gives this very much this very like cybery sort of vibe to it, and I really like that. They were kind of doing that a little bit in Concord, and I really like the look of it. Another big shader I want to make is a universal decal shader. That's my next shader I want to make. So this is going to be my first one, and then I'm going to make a second shader, going to be called the universal decal shader. The universal decal shader is going to be used for countless decals. It's going to have a bunch of yes and no toggles based on what kind of decal you want to use. So if you want to use a parallax occlusion map toggle, you click true or false, and a bunch of other ones will have that option too, and that'll basically turn the function on. I want to do a similar thing for this one. I want to add basically yes and no functions to it, so like yes and no to using thin film, yes and no to using height wear, yes and no to using edge wear. So that way you have more control over what you do and do not want to use in the shader. That way you don't have to go through and fix it yourself. So yeah, I don't want to make this too long, so I'm gonna pretty much cut it there. If you do have any questions about this, there's going to be part 2. In kind of summary, with this model, I did a couple of different things with this. So I did a bit of concepting. So I came up with an idea. I had an original model that from a game, a couple of them, and kind of brainstormed, you know, what would I want a similar thing to look like in mine. So I started off with, let's see, where is it at? If it can load. Yep. I started off with this design here, and I really liked the aesthetic of it. I liked the little screw bolts in it, but I felt like it could have been a little bit better. And this was my interpretation of what better looks like. I shortened this bin to make it more so for like salt packets and stuff like that. I gave these bins more room this way because I felt like they needed it, making it easier for the person to grab what they need, and then also the top tray very similar to what they designed. The biggest difference being the screws. I wanted to add really strong screws to it, really good bolts and stuff like that to make it really feel like this thing was put together. It was screwed together. It's a strong piece. So I still have yet to make the low poly of it. I'm not too in a rush. I think my goal right now is just to do asset creation. I think I will go back and do the low poly ones. My goal is to just create assets at this point. I want to fill this world up, and I want to do that. And then I do want to go back and create low poly versions of each asset. I kind of have a pipeline now of doing that, and I think it'll be easier and a lot faster if I do it this way. If I make the high polys first, if I just model these, and then go back and do these ones. That way I can show off my finished project more, rather than my technical prowess, because it's honestly the visuals of it that are going to get people interested, not really the other shit, as frustrating as that is, because I'd really like their technical stuff, because I'm really happy with it. So let me know what you think down in the comments. I hope to hear from you. Feel free to like, subscribe, put on the bell for notifications. I will be posting this video today on I think it's a Tuesday today, right? Yeah, it's Tuesday today. And then, oh no, it's Wednesday already. Holy shit, this week is flying by. Damn. It's Wednesday already. I'll post today on Wednesday, and I'm hoping maybe by Saturday I'm gonna try to post some shorts. I want to post more shorts about the project and give like really quick updates and maybe even a couple of tips and tricks. So, but I not at the moment. Again, if you're looking for work in Unreal and you need somebody, feel free to contact me. I'm open for work and I'm actively looking, and I'd love the opportunity to help you with your project. I'm a problem solver at heart, and any problem you put in front of me, I will work to find a solution, and I always will. So, thank you for tuning in again. I'm always very grateful for people that watch this stuff, especially all the way to the end. Shout out to you if you're here. And I hope you have a blessed day, blessed week, and I hope everybody stays safe out there, and spread love, not hate, and go out there and be a good person. So, love y'all. Have a good one. Peace.